Hurricane hit and Williams to be without electricity for up to 2 months. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, September 14th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Despite making some progress in the rebuilding process after the devastation caused by Hurricane Irma, Anguillans will have up to another 2 months wait for the electricity supply to be restored. Infrastructure Minister Curtis Richardson tells CMC News that almost the entire electricity distribution system on the island was destroyed when the Category 5 Hurricane Irma pounded the island last week.
The only thing that is intact is the plant itself. We've lost a lot of the housing, but the generators are still functional. Thank God for that. But all of the network system, 95% of it has been decimated. We have to rebuild all of the poles, all of the lines throughout the entire island.
Minister Richardson says the government is in discussions with the Caribbean Electric Utility Services Corporation, CARELEC, to get assistance in restoring power.
We have some communication with them as to what is the best possible way to restore electricity throughout the entire island within possibly 1 or 2 months. So we are putting together a comprehensive plan, and they intend to assist us with going forward with executing that plan to restore electricity in Anguilla. But we do have a lot of work and a long way to go.
And Director of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, Ronald Jackson, praised Anguillans for the community spirit shown in their cleanup efforts. He says SEDEMA has recalled its personnel from Anguilla, but he reiterated the challenges that the loss of power will have on the island and in particular on the relief efforts and water supply.
The main challenges in Anguilla at this point in time is to ensure that the relief supplies continue to come in, certainly for the rest of this week, given the challenges with power, cold storage, and the respective supply. We'll also require potentially some emergency generators, and we're looking at trying to source on behalf of Anguilla a 2.5 megawatt generator that can help to jumpstart their reverse osmosis plant, which is providing water supply to the country. They use RO to provide water, and this is dependent currently on central power supply. We feel that if we're able to get the water supply systems going, it would mean tremendous. It would be a tremendous benefit to the efforts to advance recovery and to ensure that there's greater sanitation in Anguilla.
Well, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has offered to accommodate students from hurricane-ravaged British Virgin Islands, where schools are not expected to open anytime soon. After Hurricane Ivan devastated Grenada in 2004, the St. Vincent government offered classroom spaces to Grenadian students who were preparing to write primary and secondary school exit exams, as well as those pursuing advanced level qualifications. And Minister of Economic Planning Camilo Gonzalez told CMC News the government has made a similar offer of support to the BVI, and he said they did not yet have a sense of how many students they could accept at this time.
Of course, it is better, it is most beneficial if those students have a connection to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, if it's a family connection or a friend connection of some sort, so that the students themselves, all children, don't feel too displaced by the process. We spoke to His Excellency the Premier, and it is clear that school life is going to be significantly disrupted in the short term here in the BVI, and that of course affects children who want to go to university, children who want to make the transition from secondary school onwards. So we have made the offer. We have some experience with it. I remember that there was a Grenadian student who did so well in St. Vincent and the Grenadines post-Ivan that she received a national scholarship. And we want to use that expertise, that experience, not necessarily that expertise, we want to use that experience, see if it's transferable here.
And staying in the BVI, several CARICOM nationals had to move to emergency shelters after Hurricane Irma destroyed their homes in Virgin Gorda last week. CMC's Kenton Chance visited some of those shelters and filed this report.
Several Caribbean community nationals had to move to emergency shelters after Hurricane Irma destroyed their homes in Virgin Gorda, the British Virgin Islands, last week. Among those displaced was Vincentian Rose Smart, who thought her wood and concrete apartment was strong enough to withstand a Category 5 storm. Smart had to seek shelter in a closet after the winds ripped the roof off her home. She used the calm of the eye of the hurricane to escape to an emergency shelter.
I was so scared trying to call 911, but no service at that time. So I was there crying and praying, and then after that, I saw a light. And then after I saw the light, I said, "Thank you, Jesus," and then I ran out the house.
At the Cartley Community Center to which Smart fled, she met Guyanese Carlos Jr. Gonzalez and 4 other of his countrymates who had decided ahead of the hurricane that their 4 apartments would not survive the storm. Gonzalez described to CMC what their compound looked like after the hurricane.
The whole roof gone, from the front to the back of the apartment, and a lot of things break up inside, everything damaged.
The Guyanese and Vincentians are among some 15 persons living in the Cartley Community Center in the Valley Virgin Gorda. The hurricane stripped the shingles off the roof of the building, leaving only the plywood to protect the occupants from the elements. Gonzalez told CMC that is the only problem he has with the current living quarters.
If we get a little bit rain, it's going to be a little tight for us in here, because we have like about 3 kids and like about 5 women. 1 pregnant, my sister. She almost time to get baby. She's like about 7 months.
Vincentian April Farrell, who has been living in the BVI for 29 years, appealed to the country of her birth for assistance.
Right now, we need help from the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We need water, we need food, we need clothing, and we need shelter.
The experience of the BVI non-nationals was shared by many nationals alike. Hurricane Irma sent some 100 of the island's 3,500 residents into emergency shelters, and even more into the homes of their friends and relatives. Vincent Wheatley, Sister Islands Program Coordinator in the Deputy Governor's Office, gave an overview of the damage in Virgin Gorda.
One word describes Virgin Gorda right now: catastrophic. We've had numerous damages to buildings from North Sound to the valley. A lot of folks are without homes. A lot of folks have lost all their possessions, including myself.
The senior government official told CMC of the impact of the storm on the psychosocial well-being of islanders.
It's been a very difficult and challenging week because from Tuesday last week, the day before the hurricane, we had no telecommunications, so we've had absolutely no communication with any other entity in the BVI. So we've had absolutely no governmental support.
Wheatley and other residents of Virgin Gorda have formed themselves into a committee and have begun to address issues such as restoring electricity, acquiring and distributing food and shelter for the displaced. Kenton Chance, CMC News, Virgin Gorda, British Virgin Islands.
CARICOM Chairman Dr. Keith Mitchell has made a plea to the region to stand united and pool resources, including cash, to help Barbuda as it tries to recover from Irma. At the same time, he says the focus should not only be on Antigua's sister isle, but on all the territories affected by the hurricane. Mitchell made the call on Wednesday while visiting Barbuda with a CARICOM delegation.
We are here to show our support. We are clearly asking the entire regional and international community to come forward and help, and not just announce significant level of aid, which might make it sound like if we are really getting support, and 90% of it goes to mobilization and consultant fees, and then what is left for the ground is almost literally nothing. What is needed in Barbuda at this time is actual cash material support and psychological support. And that's where the resources must go, and clearly we're asking everyone to do precisely this.
The Prime Minister of Grenada also noted that the ordeal of rebuilding is not only about structural and physical reconstruction, but psychological as well. He also indicated that plans are in place for a regional and international aid conference to garner significant pledges.
Caribbean community, the leadership, the prime ministers of the entire Caribbean, just only 3 days ago, had a video conference together under my chairmanship. Prime Minister was not able to be with us because clearly he was about here, trying to be here in Barbuda to look at the destruction and to see what can be done. But we all spoke for him and that meeting, and they all agree that in coming forward at this time and providing immediate aid for the immediate needs of the people, we have to look at the reconstruction not long from now. And the plan is to organize a regional and international aid conference that can help to get significant pledges to the reconstruction effort of this country, which is something that we did in the Grenada case, and we got significant support.
Secretary General.
That was CARICOM Chairman Dr. Keith Mitchell ending that report from ABS News. Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, a Bahamian island decimated by Hurricane Irma to be rebuilt to create history. We'll have the details of that story and more when we return.
Of Dominica, Discover Dominica Authority invite the world to the most unique and indigenous celebration of Creole cultures, the World Creole Music Festival, October 27th, 28th and 29th at the Windsor Sports Stadium, Rosso, Dominica, featuring Marshall Montano, Movado, Sweet Mickey, Itana, Roman Virgo, Glass, Yemi Alade, Kai, Zuko Stars, Bungie and Fayan, Triple K International, Ace Manton and more. Visit the DominicaFestivals.com for more information. Say Musicano!
Plenty of work for England to do after the break. Milan alongside his skipper, who was closing in on A.B. de Villiers' record of 12 consecutive test matches with a half-century.
Oh, it's worked. The inside edge dragged onto the stumps. The change of angles worked.
Root was joined by Stokes, and although the Durham batsman earned a reprieve on 9, both were soon consolidating the 5th wicket partnership.
The new IMSA contender that Acura will field along with Team Penske next year. It's called the ARX-05. The cover pulled off that race car just a few moments ago. The new IMSA Challenger's debut, a smash. The cover being pulled back on the Orica chassis Acura ARX-05 at the Quail, a motorsports gathering during Monterey Car Week in August. HPD President Art St. Cyr excited about the new car's prospects.
We continue our post-Hurricane Irma coverage in the Bahamas, where Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says his government is committed to rebuilding those communities hardest hit by the storm. There was utter devastation in Ragged Island in particular, and he told the House of Assembly on Wednesday that his administration would rebuild it better and create history in the region while doing so.
This is the first time in the modern history of the Bahamas that an entire island has witnessed the wholesale destruction of its infrastructure, both private and public.
Mapping the way forward, the Prime Minister says new protocols will be needed to shield the Bahamas from becoming victim every time a hurricane threatens the archipelago. Going forward, he announced that Ragged Island will be rebuilt and said the result will be revolutionary.
In partnership with the residents of Ragged Island, my government proposes to transform Ragged Island into the first fully green island in the region, utilizing renewable energy and smart technologies from solar energy to sustainable water purification systems.
But in order to accomplish this, the Prime Minister says assistance will be needed from Bahamians, friends of Ragged Island, as well as the international community.
Out of the devastation and the destruction, a new Ragged Island will emerge, including stronger building codes, improved zoning, and strategies to mitigate against climate change and rising sea levels. Ragged Island can emerge as a new model for sustainable communities throughout the Bahamas and the region.
A further evacuation of Ragged Island will take place this week, and those previously evacuated will be allowed to return to secure personal items. The evacuations before Hurricane Irma is the largest in Bahamian history. Prime Minister Minnis noted that had 40 Ragged Islanders not evacuated, it would have been a different story to be told.
The minister also announced that action will be taken against business owners who hiked prices ahead of and during the passage of the hurricane. He says the Price Control Commission has been monitoring businesses and reviewing prices charged for essential items. And he said several individuals and supermarkets have been referred to the Office of the Attorney General. Regional carrier Liat is likely to lose millions of dollars as a result of Hurricane Irma. Chief Executive Officer Julie Reefer-Jones said on Wednesday that because of the airline's inability to operate commercial flights to some islands, including St. Martin and the British Virgin Islands, which suffered immensely, it is estimated that $4.4 million could be lost between now and the end of this year. St. Martin as well as Tortola in the British Virgin Islands are key destinations in Liat's network. Reefer-Jones said that based on the assessment, the airline's commercial team is looking at the flight schedules to determine whether there are other opportunities for Liat to reposition aircraft to be able to generate some additional revenue in other areas. The Liat CEO said that overall the airline was forced to cancel 33 flights since Hurricane Irma's passage. In other news, there will be no more job cuts in Trinidad and Tobago's public sector, at least for the rest of the year. That assurance has come from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, who agreed to a moratorium on retrenchment during a meeting with Labour leaders on Wednesday afternoon. And his decision has prompted the union leaders to agree to return to the National Tripartite Advisory Council, NTAC, which they withdrew from earlier this year. We get the details of that story in this C-News report.
After a meeting for almost 3 hours, members of the Trade Union Federation came out relatively happy, as at least 4 of their requests were met by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley.
And the Prime Minister agreed that his government will place a moratorium on all retrenchment until December 31st this year. And on that basis, we agreed that we should return to NTAC. Yeah? And what that means is that we do not expect the government to have any new retrenchment between now and December 31st. After that, any retrenchment that is contemplated will be brought to the level of NTAC for discussions.
Mr. Roger made it clear that the moratorium speaks only to plans of new retrenchment and not what has already been announced. He said if any retrenchment was to take place in the public sector after December 31st, 2017, it would first be discussed at NTAC. It was also agreed that government will take the Retrenchment and Severance Benefit Act and the Companies Act to Parliament as soon as the parliamentary term reopens to have them revised.
At the first meeting of NTAC, when we return to NTAC, there will be a discussion aimed at restructuring NTAC to make it more meaningful, to serve its mandate and purpose and so on.
He said as it stands, NTAC is not structured in a way to achieve its mandate, and as such restructuring is being planned. Dr. Rowley will be invited to be a part of that. Mr. Roger also told the media the Prime Minister agreed to speak with his ministers to ensure they hold talks with the majority unions before decisions about employees are made. But what if these promises are not kept?
I think the answer is clear. Yeah, that will be most unfortunate. And there's a phrase, all hell will break loose. Yeah?
A date for the first meeting of NTAC has not yet been set.
Ahead in Newsline Sport, the West Indies captain disappointed at the washout of the ODI against Ireland. Stay with us.
Number of cases. One, young people have been stopped, questioned, and told empty your pockets. And, oh, that's a bag of marijuana, now I'm going to arrest you for public view. Or officers have just been jumping from, you know what, I got to fill this quota. I have to get a certain number of these forms prepared every day. So I'm just going to go out and based on the area I'm in, I'm going to stop, search, frisk, and fill out this form right away.
By the way, we appreciate all of your questions, comments, and concerns. For all of our viewers out there watching across the globe, we really appreciate the response. Thanks for all the love. My man right here, sweeping the nation right now.
Yes, sir.
With this hot single, White Girl Voice.
Yes, sir. Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Chi-Town is in the house.
Chi-Town.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
A little bit of taste of Chicago.
Just a little taste.
Just a little taste, right?
Taste of Chicago.
There we go.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. You know, White Girl Voice is what it's all about.
Well, when you get drafted into this great league, you know, some of us come in at different ages, and as a 19-year-old kid, if you think about it, I'm starting my first year of college, or finishing my first year of college, my freshman year, and life hits. Man, you go to different hotels, you're in different places, in different cities, and you have to adjust to what's going on. And it took me a little while to do that. On the court was incredible, but then you start figuring out what is important to you off the court.
Continuing with sports now, West Indies captain Jason Holder is disappointed that rain washed out the one-day international against Ireland, which robbed the Caribbean side of valuable match practice ahead of the upcoming 5-match series against England. A wet outfield caused by heavy overnight rain had initially delayed the toss on Wednesday at the Civil Service Cricket Club, but the rains eventually returned before inspection, forcing officials to call off the contest. Holder said, quote, "I don't think it was close to playable. The outfield was pretty saturated. The umpires always had a concern about how wet it was, and they felt it would have been a lot of slipping and sliding and didn't want to take the risk. I couldn't really disagree with them too much, but hopefully we can go into England with some confidence." West Indies have had no limited overs practice in preparation for the first ODI against England at Old Trafford next Tuesday. Cricket's technical director in the Cayman Islands has hit back at criticisms by the White brothers, who have been calling for administration of the sport to be overhauled. The White brothers came out swinging after the national team finished poorly at an ICC divisional tournament. Describing the criticism as unfair, Peter Anderson told Cayman 27's Jordan Armanese that the state of cricket in the Cayman Islands is nothing new.
Got to take a breath and sit back and say, you know, what can we do better, how we can move forward, and, you know, stop chucking rocks, you know, because social media is a wonderful thing but can also be very demoralising.
Technical Director Peter Anderson on comments from Sports Councillor David White and brother Chris on the state of cricket in Cayman.
We just can't compete, and people have got to take a step backwards. We need David's help. We need people like himself to get back involved in cricket.
Anderson says there was more money pouring into the program in the past.
10 years ago, Cayman cricket had nearly $2.5 million. And my question is, what happened in that period?
With the current roster containing non-professional athletes, Anderson says the councillor's criticism is simply out of touch.
When David and those guys played, they imported six of those first-class players, you know, guys who came from other parts of the Caribbean.
As for the failures in developing youth cricket, Anderson says this isn't a new problem for the program.
When I came here, we're ranked 52nd in the world. We've dropped down 20 ranking points. We have no under-17s, we have no under-19. We lost our funding with the ICC with the under-19 2 weeks after I arrived. That hasn't happened overnight.
And with the program in a rebuilding phase, Anderson says former players like the White brothers need to face the facts.
You know, you guys had your day, you had the money, you had the finances. We're reaping what we've sowed.
A process that may sit better with some than others.
Switching sports now, Trinidad and Tobago have taken a tumble in the latest FIFA rankings following their poor form in the 2018 World Cup qualifiers. And they're on the brink of slipping out of the top 100 in the world. In the rankings released on Thursday, the Caribbean powerhouses slipped 16 places to 99th, fourth in the Caribbean Football Union rankings led by French nation Haiti. Meanwhile, Haiti jumped 7 places to be 48th in the FIFA rankings, and they continue at the top in the CFU. They widened their gap on Jamaica, who remained second in CFU, but slipped 4 places in the world rankings to 61st. Curacao were unmoved, remaining 3rd in CFU and 86th in the FIFA rankings. St. Kitts enjoyed a healthy bounce, leaping 11 places to 114th in the world rankings to be 6th in CFU. Suriname, 5th in CFU, slipped 4 places overall to 111th in the world rankings. Guyana also experienced positive movement, rising 7 places to 156 to be the 8th in CFU, while Dominica also rose 6 spots to be 171st and 13th in the regional rankings. Over to track and field, where Trinidad and Tobago's Jereem Richards has signed a professional contract with Adidas. He has had a superb season, winning bronze in the 200-meter and gold in the 4x400-meter relay at the World Championships earlier this year. And the TNT athlete says he has no regrets making the decision.
Richards' season saw him end as a world champion 200-meter bronze medalist and 4x4 relay gold medalist at the World Championship in London. He believes the timing is right to make the next step in his career.
After such a successful year, 2017, collegiately and representing Trinidad and Tobago, I think this was the best decision for me. And you know, I really thought about it, and I looked at it all different ways, and this was really the best decision for me to make. And I prayed about it, and you know, I'm just thankful for God for giving me this opportunity, and thankful for my family and friends for supporting me throughout this entire year.
Being a successful athlete attracts different offers, and he explained his decision to side with Adidas.
Adidas, I think they are very credible. They are a very credible company, and they gave me a really good offer that I couldn't deny. So you know, just with going with that offer, they took care of me really good, and I'm very thankful for them for that.
Jereem says he has the support from the University of Alabama in making the step to the pro ranks.
You know, I talked to my parents a little bit about it, and you know, they always influenced me to, you know, finish school, which I'll be graduating this fall. So I know some people would be wondering if I would be finishing school, or would I just be going pro and not gonna finish school, or what. So I actually graduating this semester, so I'm gonna get my degree, and I'm gonna start my professional career.
He added that he will be completing his degree in human environmental science.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Coming up on 21st Century, surviving terrorism in Norway, and in northeast Nigeria, extremism and the struggle to rebuild.
The true story is, I just chose how I want to die. Do I want to drown? Do I want to get shot?
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and Carib Vision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
A recap of the major developments of this day. Hurricane hit Anguillans to be without electricity for up to another 2 months. And in sport, the West Indies captain disappointed at the washout of the ODI against Ireland, which robbed the Caribbean side of valuable match practice ahead of the upcoming 5-match series against England. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CanonNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and good night.